Well, today is July 19th, 2016. Welcome to the Mr. X Index, where we will try to index the fall of America as it happens. I'm sorry for maybe sounding like I'm laughing as I say that. It's just because how weird this year has been. It would almost be comical if for not how sad it has been. We've witnessed it, the fall of America, in real time. I mean, to quote from Gladiator, "Are you not entertained?" This year has been one of the most politically charged years of all time. And not just because the election is coming up. I remember in 2008, I was not awake back then. There was nowhere near as much political anguish and turmoil as can be seen, as evidenced by the fact that we had the Dallas shooting last weekend. We've had repeated shooting incidences occurring left and right now against police officers. Asked me a week ago, I was going to start with this on Monday before the crazy weekend that we had here in the world, that the petition signed by 150,000 people to formally declare Black Lives Matter a terrorist organization. Now, a week ago, I admit I wouldn't have gone that far. These people are angry, as are most of Americans. The problem is they have been misguided and by the Soros Foundation, by various other powerful political parties, and misplaced that anger instead of at the Democrats, who caused the blacks to be suppressed in the manner that they are today. Remember, the Democratic Party has a long history of racial abuse against the black community in this country. Remember, the Democrats founded the KKK. Okay? The Democrats push for Planned Parenthood, who makes their money killing babies. The Democrats push for programs to get as many black kids killed every year as they can, either through abortion or by creating huge financial instabilities and turning once great cities, think like Chicago, into gang-run hellholes that people just go around shooting each other for no other reason than they were wearing the wrong color underwear that day. Okay? These people have a right to be angry for that. But they misplaced it, and instead of pointing at the politicians who put them in this mess, they instead just go, oh, everything that's bad to us has been the white man's fault throughout history. Never mind the fact that we are supposed to be a progressive society where black, whites, men, women, Hispanics, Gentiles and Jews all get together, we sing Kumbaya, and everything is hunky-dory, according to the Democrats. No, it's everything is the white man's fault, even though we were responsible for ending slavery in this country. Remember, there's still parts of the world where slavery is still legal. Okay, we got rid of it during the Civil War in the 1800s here. Granted, when you look at Lincoln, it wasn't necessarily because he actually felt that African Americans deserve the right to be free, which they do. Every living being deserves the right to be free. He did it as a political means to get soldiers so that he could put them in the front lines in the meat grinder that was the Civil War and tried everything he can to trump the South. Okay, but he ended slavery in this country. There was a war fought. At least the North was convinced into fighting it because they wanted to end slavery. Okay? Have we been good stewards of that since the Civil War? Maybe not. But it's never solely rested on the heads of one group of people like it is with Black Lives Matter. Okay? They forget that who sold a lot of their people into slavery? It was their African brothers, air quotes, left in Africa that wanted the trinkets, the baubles that the white man gave them, okay? No matter how bad a situation is, there are multiple people at fault. You cannot just blame it on one group of people. Just like they say, hey, not just because that several of the largest terrorist incidents were all carried out by Muslims, they go, oh, we cannot blame an entire religion for the fault of a few people. Okay, slaveholders were less than, 5% of the population at the time? Why is it suddenly that logic that you can't blame the whole group for the actions of a small minority suddenly thrown out the window when it becomes the white man? But I've digressed well off the original topic here. Again, last week I wouldn't have said that these people needed to be declared a terrorist organization. They are angry and they are misguided. They have been misguided, particularly by those in their own community, to lash out at police, lash out at groups that have nothing to do with their current plight. It's all the problems of the left and the right paradigm that of the politicians at the very top, that core, top 1% of politicians that put them in this mess that they are today. But no, they've gone around, and we had the Dallas shooting. We have had multiple other copycat assassination attempts at police officers around this country. Rather than try to address the situation and try to put things at ease and say, hey, we need to take a step back from here, look at ourselves, try to see what the problem is, address it, and then fix it, and let's calm down. No, we've had the Obama administration, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, go out and say, don't let this silence your voice to be heard, the fact that your members have gone around killing police officers. You've had Obama meet with the heads of this organization that is linked directly to the death of police officers, whose one of their heroes is a cop killer who's on the FBI's most wanted list. These people have gone completely out of control. And though the First Amendment right to assemble is to join like-minded people, as they said, I cannot remember, I had my notes here, I apologize. The Supreme Court once said you can't yell fire in a crowded building, and I mean, these people have gone above and beyond what free speech allows, and is now have committed overt acts of violence against police officers, several of whom are black. There's not a clear evidence of the black-on-black crime problem in this country. I don't know what is. And I don't know what we're supposed to do to fix this. Rather than come together, we've just enforced irreparable barriers between the races, the sexes, the classes, that the only way it will go away is through multiple years of pain of these people killing each other, to the point where finally the atrocities are so terrible that they have to will only then look and say, this was screwed up, we need to stop before we kill all humanity. That's the course that we're going on. The mass deaths of millions in this country for no other reason than something as stupid as skin color. I'm sorry, when I was growing up, I was taught we are all one race, the human race, that all lives mattered. This constant division, rather than unification, is going to tear us all apart. And I don't want to see that happen. You are my American brother. We grew up in the same country. I've served with many people from various backgrounds together. To say that, to draw division from something as dumb as what pigment colors our skin, come on. We've got many other issues facing us today. The real unemployment rate of 20% after you include not the official government numbers, but the Americans not in the workforce, almost 100 million. That number is only going to get worse now that robots are going to be replacing many more millions of workers in the workforce. The fact that we are still at war with a country that has no desire to be brought into the 21st century to embrace true freedom and ideals and still wants to go around enslaving and murdering women for as little as they want to get an education. I don't know, maybe some of these issues are ones that we might want to talk about. Or the drug war that caused a lot of the division here in the United States. Some of those issues, but no, it's all cops must die and all this other crap. I don't know. Do you really want us, as America, to see what happened in Turkey this weekend? Even though that really wasn't a whole freedom revolution thing in Turkey. Segueing into Turkey, by the way. So, Erdogan's government was essentially their backs to the wall with this military coup. Somehow or another, Erdogan was able to rally the people against this military coup and stop the military from taking over. He's now used it as a whole mess of an excuse to go around arresting every single one of his political opponents, committing who knows what war crimes. Because, again, they control the internet in Turkey and can say, you shall not report on what horrible atrocities we are committing. And just the thought of how bad that situation is over there, and that could be us in a couple of years. Now, the reason behind a military coup would be different over here, but that could be us having a military coup over here. Could you imagine the United States in such a state of political instability that, honestly, a coup might even be necessary at that point when the government has gone so far out of control? Either way, I really don't want to go there. The last thing I want to think about is having to go up against a fellow American so violently for a difference of opinion. I mean, I will yell and I will scream and I will shout from my soapbox into the parapet all day long, but that's where I want it to end. I do not want to have to get physically involved in trying to educate people why things need to change and how they need to change for the better so that we don't repeat the mistakes that have brought us to this point in time. Now going into some conspiracy theories that I've heard over the weekend, because there's been such a lack of trust in government agencies, of the mainstream media, of every single establishment form of information, that there really is no trust left. So we have such wild accusations. Again, that Black Lives Matter, one of the craziest ones I heard over this past weekend, is actually a cult from the beginning intended to kill cops. That's kind of what they've turned into. However, to announce that anything starts off so horrible from the beginning, I just don't buy that plan, that gimmick. Even the Nazi Party, they didn't just one day all come together and say, we're going to go mass murder every single person that isn't this ridiculous Aryan stereotype that we came up with. No, it was an evolution of multiple evils culminating in that final atrocity of what they did over in Germany, thanks to the Nazi Party. I mean that in the in a sarcastic way, not like, thank you, Nazis, for mass murdering people. No one wants that. But that could be what's happening in Turkey right now. Going back on to Turkey, since that is one of the bigger events this week, there's the conspiracy that Erdogan staged this entire coup so that he could have an excuse to go after his political opponents in that country. Again, not so keen on that idea. That one is born completely out of mistrust of government systems, and particularly we can thank Alex Jones for pushing the whole false flag narrative that now everybody thinks anytime anything bad, it must be a staged event. In the case of a political coup, where the military is trying to take over the way they did in Turkey, no one stages an event like that. There are a million ways that can go wrong. Okay, when they stage false flag attempts to try to push a political agenda in whatever way they want, they do it small scale. Like Timothy McVeigh, where he blew up the Oklahoma City federal building, okay? Something that the people in power are nowhere close to, that it in no way, shape, or form could endanger their lives. That it doesn't matter to them how many are killed, but the fallout is very quick, it's clean, and they're not in danger. In the case of a military coup, that has huge political, financial ramifications that no one wants to suffer the fallout from. Okay? Since this coup has occurred, it has caused huge turmoil inside the Turkish economy. They're pushing into joining the EU. Okay? The European Union might be desperate enough right now to say, we're going to look the other way that a military coup occurred in a state that's trying to join our union. But the people are going to look at that and say, wow, that's a stupid idea letting these people in. Okay? You look at smaller events, like if there had just been a bombing at a Capitol building, maybe 50 dead, he could have still gone after all of his opponents. Now, he wouldn't have had the quote-unquote high ground to go after them the way a military coup provides you, but the long-term fallout is much less, and it's less likely to get Erdogan killed. Apparently, as I was reading earlier today, that there was part of this myth of why this conspiracy has evolved is that his aircraft was in the sights of a coup pilot, and they're wondering now why he didn't shoot him down. These types of situations are so fluid, no one knows what the hell's going on. So to instantly go, because a coup pilot didn't shoot him down, it must have been set up by him to try to go after his political opponents. No, nothing is too clean as that. This whole thing was a mess from moment one, and it'll probably be in the history books 20 years from now before we finally get down to how long the fallout will be felt from this mess. Either way, I've talked about the two items that I wanted to go over, the whole Black Lives Matter, let's kill cops mess that we've gotten dragged into in this country, and the whole political coup over in Turkey, since those were the two largest events that have occurred this past week. If you want to become aware of when new videos come out where I try to explain, in my view, why these things are happening, please hit the big red subscribe button down below. If you want to try to mess with the YouTube search algorithm, so hopefully others have a chance to hear this, hit the big thumbs up button down below. You don't have to like what's going on in the world, just please. This is where true democracy occurs, where you get to decide, do you want this voice to be heard, this opinion to be heard, over the mess of the left? Or you have the free right to say, no, I don't want this voice to be heard. Then just hit the big thumbs down button and be done with it. Anyway, again, thank you for watching. Hopefully, I'll report later on some of the bigger messes that have occurred, and we'll get to see just if we will be able to save our country. Good night. Goodbye.